The Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the Bristol Flyers Podcast. My name's Joel Osborne. He is Sam Hardy.
Well, hello.
Sam, how's it going?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Jolie. Joel, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. It's been a great week of basketball. Flyers riding high. Big win over Caledonia Gladiators. What a weekend it was.
I heard you didn't, you were being lazy that day and didn't travel with the team and got to work that one from home, Joel. Is that right?
It was. I can confirm it was the first game this season that I have not travelled to. It wasn't because I wasn't lazy. It was because I covered it remotely.
And how did it go? All good? All smooth?
Yeah, it all went well, I think. Obviously, we couldn't do our video content down there at the game like normal. However, we were able to manage to pick up a win. And a massive shout out to the media team at Caledonia Gladiators for providing some picks as well. So
I love that. We'll get on to the game a bit later, won't we? I'm sure in the news section.
We will. But first, Sam, congratulations are in order for you once again, because last week you got the call up to do the PA down at Ashton Gate for Bristol City versus West Brom in the FA Cup.
Well, I only got the call up because Downsy had a positive COVID test on the morning. I was on the golf course, got a phone call, and they're like, "What are you doing now? Are you coming to work?" And I was like, "I can do." And they were like, "We need you. We've got no one else."
Lastminute.com, and you happily obliged. And to be fair, mate, you absolutely smashed it.
I did all right. I enjoyed it, mate. First time doing the men's football. Do you know what I did? I'm not going to lie to you. I know that football fans are brutal, so I had my bobble hat. I tied my hair up and put my hat on so no one knew I had long hair, because I was like, football fans are not going to enjoy that.
Release the locks is what I say.
Joel, maybe in the future, but I've had enough sort of abuse over the times doing it. I knew it was coming. I tell you that for free.
Well, that win obviously means that we have the delight of hosting Manchester City in the next round here at Ashton Gate. What a night that's going to be.
I mean, do you know, have you had the same? I've had so many texts come through.
Oh my God.
Can you get me tickets for Man City, mate?
Like, I haven't City tickets, mate. You still working at Ashton Gate?
Someone put a tweet out. I can't remember who it was. It was, actually, I don't know who it was, but it was a random one, Bristol City fan, who was like, "Hi, mate, how's the family doing?" Anyway, and like, that is the message that everyone's been getting, isn't it?
I think Jerry, the support liaison officer at City, has had his phone absolutely blow up this last few days since that draw was made. So that should be a great game, obviously, down here at Ashton Gate. And no, we cannot get you any tickets. Before we introduce our guest this week, Sam, obviously the last few weeks we've been asking fans to send in their reviews if they listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, and I'm very pleased to say we have two more. Shall I read out the first one?
I've heard one of these, and I think it is absolutely brilliant.
Shout out Marky_CX on the podcast feed, rated it 5 stars. Great stuff. Even Roy Keane would crack a smile listening to this.
Yeah, enjoyed that a lot.
And this second one, probably my favourite review we've had so far on the Bristol Flyers podcast. Massive shout out. They've kept themselves anonymous here. Bristol Aviation Geek. 5-star rating, so thank you very much for that. Joel and Sam are from the Royal Aeronautical Society in Bristol, and each week they break down all things flight related. The podcast features a rotating cast of leading lights in the aeronautical industry. My favourite was Mike the Iceman Miller, who talked about his recent work on aircraft de-icing systems, from which he gained international recognition. I've already booked my seat for next week's show. Boarding starts at 6. See you there.
That is just so ridiculous.
What a credible review that was.
When you first read that to me, I literally thought someone had got the wrong podcast. I'm not even joking.
Amazing. I absolutely love it. And if you're a listener to the podcast on the Apple Podcast feed, we want to hear from you. So if you've got a review, leave a review over on Apple Podcasts, and we'll be sure to read them out right here on the very next episode. Don't forget, we are here every Wednesday on all major podcast providers and on YouTube. You can leave a message on YouTube, a comment in the comment section down here if you're watching, down below if you're watching on YouTube. And yeah, let's hear from you. We want to read out some of your messages.
And on YouTube, you can also subscribe just up here, I believe. And if you do that, you'll get a little bell notification when there's highlights going out, all of the highlights from the games, the long extended highlights, the shorter highlights, all the stuff Joel puts out, as well as this podcast. So please do subscribe and hit that bell.
Great stuff. Right, time for us to introduce this week's guest, and this is our Bristol Sport Foundation special edition episode of the podcast. We're shining a light on all the great work that the foundation is doing in the community, and joining us this week is none other than a player who's done plenty of work in the community, Corey Samuels, and Bristol Flyers community coach Rodney Gear. Fellas, how are we doing?
Oh, good. What's up, guys?
Thanks for joining us. It's always that awkward moment, isn't it, when we introduce the guests? It's like, who wants to talk first? Who wants to talk first? And you look at each other and it's that awkward pause. But fellas, thanks for joining us on the podcast this week. How's it going? All good?
Yeah, pretty smooth. I can't complain. About you, Rodney?
Yeah, buzzing at the moment. Really just enjoying everything I'm doing.
Great stuff. Corey, we gave you a phone call last week on the podcast. We had Jelani and Leslie come on the podcast, and the question for them was, who's the one player you'd call in case of emergency? They were kidnapped and they couldn't play in the Caledonia Gladiators game. They had one call to make to free them into the roster for the game. They picked you, and you didn't answer the phone, mate.
Yeah, so let me clear my name on that one. First of all, I already told Leslie this. I was honored I was his first pick, and I think that was a great choice. At the time of the phone call, I heard my phone buzzing. I was mid-conversation right before a uni game, and then I cut my conversation short. I said, "Sorry, bro, let me take this call." As soon as you click the button, it disappears. It literally went. I was like, "Oh, that's weird." Called him back twice, got no response. I said, "Okay."
You tried calling him back?
Yeah, I called him back twice.
Oh, we were on the podcast. We had the phone connected. It didn't go off.
Do you know what? Actually, didn't he say, "Oh, it just connected" as he hung up?
He did say
yeah,
that.
we believe you.
We do
on
believe
this,
you.
okay.
So I am reliable. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
They still got kidnapped though and weren't able to play, so that was a shame.
Yeah. Corey, big congrats are in order for you with the UE basketball team, because of course you guys are Bucks South Premier champions. Congratulations.
Yeah, UE history. Can't complain with that. I mean, first time we've done it, so yeah, it's pretty smooth.
Sam and I are former alumni of UE, so we know the grind it's been going through Western 1A and Western 2A back in the day to eventually get the club to where it's at now. But really great to see, isn't it, Sam, as former players ourselves?
Yeah, you don't know what it's like to travel to Winchester to play against like a bunch of people that started playing basketball at university, all right? You have no idea, bro.
No, so it's great to see. When a playoff starting, tell us more about playoffs. What can we expect?
So playoffs start, I think in like 3 weeks, like for us, because when you finish top, you get a bye in the first round. So, we let them guys battle it out, and then we take the best out of that really for the second round, and then we got a couple rounds, and then the finals. Hopefully, I mean, we should. I'm not going to say we're going to make it, but we should make it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Corey needs to, well, not needs to, but he was talking about this and he censored himself just then because he actually said, we'll let the mutts just fly out at the bottom and then we'll see what happens after that. So, yeah.
Yeah, very good. Corey, who are the other teams to be looking out for? Because I know a few of these university teams have links with BBL programs as well. So a few of these BBL players are obviously playing down at this level. Well, I say playing down, but also combining UE at uni and they're playing with Bucks. Yeah.
So like, well, the main one's Leicester because it feels like they got like 7-8 like Riders players on their roster. Certain guys have been at the uni for a lot of years, so I don't know how they're still on the team. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, like we got to play them. Well, if we get to that, we'll play them. I don't know who else is playing uni as well, like in the BBL, but definitely like Leicester got like a lot of guys.
Great stuff. Well, we do wish you very best of luck. So we'll see if we can come down and watch a game if they got home court advantage, shouldn't we, Sam?
Yeah, we should take the podcast on the road down there, Joel.
That sounds like an amazing idea. That's like our production meeting right here on the podcast. It's planning future episodes. We'll take the podcast down for a future episode. See if we can have a catch up with old favourite Josh Rogers or someone like that.
You act like
getting back to the club.
You act like we often have a production meeting, mate. Which
we don't. We don't have a production meeting. Rodney, welcome to the podcast. You, of course, have been working with the Flyers, the community project of the Bristol Sport Foundation. How long have you been working with the foundation for now?
For the foundation?
Well, I mean, I guess because you've obviously been doing stuff with Flyers before you joined the Bristol Sport Foundation. So, I mean, like, I guess because I was the same. I was kind of like, I did a couple years volunteering before I joined Bristol Sport. Yeah. So, if you were to ask me how long I've been working with the club for, I'm like 10 years, but 8 years if you think of just the Bristol Sport era. How about yourself?
I mean, it's over 10 years, I reckon.
Yeah.
I can't give you an exact date, but no, I was doing some work in primary schools, and Doug and Davis came in to Filton Avenue Primary.
Yeah. Just
kind of like Corey's doing right now with the Ambassador Project. And that was like eye-opening for me. I was like, I want to get involved in this, and ended up volunteering down at the Saturday morning session with those two guys.
Yeah.
trying to get my Filton Avenue team up to scratch.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, isn't it? Because like you talk about Doug and Davis, Doug McLaughlin-Williams, Davis Bone. For those that don't know, these were guys that were playing in the NBL Division 1 program back when I was at SGS College. So we're talking about 12 years ago now or so, long time back. So it just shows the growth of the program, doesn't it? Fellas, this week is our Bristol Sport Gala dinner. So that's the reason why we've got you on the podcast, is because we want to be shouting about all the great work that the Bristol Sport Foundation are doing in the community. We'll take a deep dive into some of the programs that both of you are involved with, going across the up and down in and around different areas of Bristol. And I managed to reach out to Mike English, who's the community delivery manager at the Bristol Sport Foundation, before we recorded this episode, and he kindly sent me through some great numbers of just how many people the foundation is reaching right now with all the basketball work it's doing in the community. So just off the top of my head here, I say top of my head, looking at my notes, 3,713 is the total number of children impacted this academic year. So that's 22-23 to date, which is incredible. 3,000 children.
We're only just halfway through the year.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at so last season, for reference, the total number of children that the foundation reached was 6,912. We're not even halfway through the academic year, and we're already on target to beat that this year.
Yeah, that is unbelievable, Rodney. That must be a lot of work for you, my man.
I wonder how many names I can remember.
Yeah, that's a lot of names as a coach, right?
Yeah.
Trying to remember everyone's name must be crazy.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the Bristol Sport Gala dinner being on Thursday, that's a great night, isn't it, Sam? Because obviously it's back again down here at the stadium. It's a 3-course meal, black tie event down here at the stadium. All the sporting stars from across the group get together, and to raise vital funds for the work that not just the Bristol Sport Foundation and the Flyers Community Project are doing, but the Robbins Foundation, the Bristol Bears Foundation as well. And all the money is split between the 3 programs, and the money goes directly into helping run these programs, which is fantastic to see. And there's some great fundraisers in the night, isn't there, Sam?
Oh, I mean, we've got a lot of our partners all together coming in a room, maybe having 1 or 2 glasses of wine. I'm not really sure, Joel, how it's going to work. And, got some prizes up for grabs. People are going to be bidding on them. So we don't know. Hopefully we'll raise a lot of money for it, Joel. You're
on hosting duties, aren't you, on the night? You are on the mic.
Can't get away from this place, I'm telling you.
I'm going to be sat at the Flyers table enjoying a lovely 3-course slap-up meal with a cheeky wine as well.
You got a little tux to wear, Joel?
I do. Yeah, it's the my go-to Bristol Sport Gala dinner tux. It comes out once a year, every year, for the last 6 years.
Joel, are you a real bow tie man, or are you a clip-on?
Oh no, I'm clip-on, mate. Yeah. Always the clip-on tie. Is he just one, right, Corey? We're clip-on tie crew.
I mean, you didn't have to tell the fans I was going to try and get away with it, but I guess the secret's out now.
The secret's out now. Corey Samuels wears a clip-on tie. Hey, there's nothing to be ashamed of, fellas. There's nothing to be ashamed of.
Let me. It's not a clip-on tie. It's a clip-on bow tie.
Yeah, nice.
I can tie a regular tie.
Yeah,
just so you know.
yeah.
I did the silly thing. I bought a tux this week because I don't own one, and I bought a real bow tie, and I have no idea how to tie one, Joel. So that's not going to go well for me.
Yeah, I'm the same. I can't tie a bow tie, so always the clip-ons. Put it on. Just need to get a spinning one, really, don't I? Little spinny bow tie would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Rodney was telling us about a little trick. What's your little trick, Rodney?
So I've got both bow ties. I've got a self-tie and a clip-on one. And I've had it for years. Like this self-tie one, I've had it for years, and I can never, ever tie it. Right? So I just put it in my side pocket. And then when it comes to the end of the evening, or everyone's relaxing, undoing their top buttons, I go James Bond style and just have it hanging down.
So you do the old switcheroos. Take off that one.
That's the
No one can see the.
That's the go-to.
You know, Rodney, I'm doing some hosting tomorrow. I may have to name and shame you. No
way. Obviously, as part of the night, there's the massive auction which takes place. We can't talk about the prizes on offer tomorrow night. However, last year's prizes were amazing. I mean, Steve Lansdowne donated a trip out to Botswana, which do you remember that? Obviously, there's signed shirts. There was a hospitality experience, up in the boxes for some of the concerts we had at the stadium. So some really high-end things, prizes for supporters to bid on attending the event. And if you can't attend the event and you do want to donate to any one of the Bristol, any one of the charities here at Bristol Sport, you can do so over at the Bristol Bristol Sport Foundation website. There should be all the information you need over on there. Fellas, before we talk about the Bristol Sport Foundation work and sort of deep dive into each of the individual projects, I just kind of wanted to start off by showing supporters how all the community outreach projects fit into the club structure as a whole. And I know, Sam, we spoke about it. What was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago? I think when we had the Flyers 2 episode, we wanted to show the club structure, how it's set up. There it is on screen for you now. If you are listening to the podcast, you can't see this, but I can talk you through it right now. So this is the whole club structure. It starts at the top with the BBL team. There's also a WNBL team, also a women's side, which hopefully one day we'll be able to put up into the WBBL as well. There's obviously below that, there's National League Division 2 for the men's side, which is the Flyers' second team, and then below that is the SGS Basketball Academy and the EABL setup, which students can study at SGS College. On the weekends they can play for Flyers at under 18s level, which sits alongside that, and then below that we've got junior age groups, so under 18s, 16s, 14s, 12s across boys and girls teams, and then if you see right at the bottom of there is the school's delivery. So this is some of the curriculum projects that are in the structure, things like the community basketball hubs, player development pathway, like we call it PDP, curriculum delivery, like the health squad and forever sport programs, and things that Corey's obviously doing as well, like going into schools, ambassador projects, going to assemblies and inspiring kids to hop on board with some of these programs and join the Flyers program. And Corey, you've sort of been a player that's come in and started, you started at the hubs, which is the lowest, I say the lowest, it's the first entry level, isn't it? It's how you get introduced to basketball, isn't it? Like, do you remember how you first got into it, your first experience of that?
Yeah, nah, definitely. I'm pretty sure, like, one of the first sessions, like, I turned out with my brother, obviously. He's, like, 3 years older than me. I remember, like, Guy was coaching, like, so this is, like, years ago, obviously, Guy was there. I remember, like, Greg used to take sessions, Doug and Davis, like, all the OGs, really. Roy was there, like, and yeah, it was just pretty, obviously there was just a bunch of kids, everyone just loved basketball, and, come there every Saturday, like, pick up new skills, get to play against other kids your age, and then, just progress from there, really. Like, it was pretty big part of, like, my development in the early years. Yeah,
and this kind of started as, it used to be, wasn't it, Rodney, like one single hub, SGS Wise campus, Saturday mornings, coached by Davis and Doug. Now, you talk about the hub programs, and I guess we'll start by talking about the hub programs, because that is the kind of the entry level. Like, we get so many DMs on social. I see the Flyers inbox full all the time. Oh, I've got a 12-year-old son that wants to play basketball. How can I get involved? And, like, that is essentially the first level they can enter, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, so we've recently started having, like, a under 5s basketball as well.
Wow.
And I mean, that's
under 5,
and that's inspired by Akimi, who's my daughter, and just her and some of her mates coming along, shooting on one of the little Tykes hoops.
Wow.
And they bring their little brothers, they bring their little sisters, and they're like barely just walking, and we give them little soft basketballs. That's 9 o'clock at Cottam School, and then we go all the way through. We do an hour for like year 1 to 3. We do an hour for year 4 and 5. We do an hour for year 6 and 7. We do an hour for year 8 and 9. We do an hour for year 10 and 11.
Wow.
And they're all sold out. They just, like, 30 kids each session. So I'm seeing over 150 kids a day.
Yeah.
Just on a Saturday morning.
That's amazing.
When's the time for you to just have a little 5 minutes to yourself?
I'm actually buzzing though. Like, the whole day it just goes so fast, and I enjoy every single second of it. The problem is it's like the tight turnarounds, and I got parents who are like trying to, like, Rodney, try and get my attention. I'm like, blow the whistle. Next session, let's go.
One age group in, one age group out. Let's go. Come on, guys. Let's get as much basketball as we can.
Yeah.
I love to see it. That's amazing.
You're welcome. Come down.
And looking at some of the stats as well that I was sent through. So over 1,000 kids in the city have attended a Flyers basketball hub this season. Obviously, we talk about it started as just one. Now you spoke about the locations. Obviously, you've got the hub at Cottam School.
Yeah.
There's a hub at Wellsway School, the Park School in Knoll, Bristol Brunel Academy, Bristol Free School now.
Yeah.
It's just grown massively. If you look over the last few years, especially since Flyers joined the BBL, how much that has actually grown, and that is is the first level, and the best like the players with the that are finding it the most enjoyable, that want to progress further. It's the perfect entry point to go into Flyers at under 12 level and play like for National League programs.
Well, I mean, the under 12s, that's your best chance to get into the junior program, because once they've been in under 12s, then you're competing against the other under 12s who have already been in the program for a year.
Yeah.
So I think something like 90% of the kids that got into the under 12s, like the start of this season, all came through the community hub. Yeah.
That's amazing. And so, like, obviously they're so popular. I mean, we see there every week. Like, I see the foundation tweeting about it. Like, this hub is sold out. This hub is sold out. We have so much demand for that. So that's why it's super important, isn't it, for like events like the Gala dinner, which we have tomorrow night, to raise these funds so we can go out and give more of it. And a huge part of like it kind of ties in quite nicely to Project Takeoff, which I kind of wanted to talk about, because that's like another project that the foundation that is set up to help those children that are sort of less fortunate, that aren't able to afford to take up basketball, to be able to fund that, isn't it? Tell us more about that, Rodney.
Well, I just, can I go back a little bit?
Of course, yeah.
So, I mean, just like the level of demand is just growing so much. We want to be able to have more coaches to put on sessions. We want to find more venues that we can like coach basketball at, just because we know the kids are going to come to it. And then leading into Project Takeoff, the ones that like we feel we want to get there are sometimes the ones that can't get to the hubs, and there's like loads of reasons why not. It might be that they are just not quick enough on like social media, because they or like booking systems and stuff like that. It might be the money that they can't afford to go to the sessions, or they don't know about them. So I'm trying to like reach out to parents and reach out to kids. I'm saying, right, you've got a hub down the road at the park centre. Can you get along on a Monday night? And they're like, oh, I don't know, like I've got a little brother, mum needs to look after him. Don't think I can get down. I was like, yeah, but like you're killing this right now at Oasis. Like you got to play. You got to come and like be like maybe get in the under 12s.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh yeah, like they would love to, but they just for whatever reason can't get down there.
We've actually got some footage of the Project Takeoff, which you can show on screen here. There's Rodney coaching Project Takeoff. You know, these are kids that are able to get coaching through the Bristol Sport Foundation, enabling to join things like the hubs and things like that, helping some of these players. And this one's at Cottam School, isn't it, Rodney?
Yeah, this is our Project Takeoff camp. So I sorted out the T-shirts for all of this. I invited a load of the kids that were part of the project down. And then we had a game against one of the other primary schools who were in Forever Sport. It was just a great day. We got them some free foods. I mean, I got some shout-outs, but I don't know what I don't know what the process is for that. But I mean, like looking at this video, we got a girl on here called Kimberly.
Yeah.
And that's her right there. Mm-hmm. And she's just a dominant, amazing basketball player.
That's awesome.
And I think she's playing up an age group as well. She's under 12 and she's playing for the under 14s girls team.
Wow.
That's so good.
She beats all the boys.
Yeah. And there's another case study that we actually are highlighting in tomorrow's Gala dinner. We did a case study. I mean, you got a chance to watch the video just before we come here to record the podcast today. And that's about Romain, who's obviously one of the
amazing kids.
He plays for the under 12s now, right? And
he's got into the under 12s. I'm super proud of him. But you just can't hope for a nicer kid than Romain. He comes, he's locked in, he's listening, he's encouraging. All the kids that go to our sessions, just like, oh, who was your MVP today? They're like, Romain.
I love that.
Yeah, he's just a great kid, and just grateful that we can provide some like game time for him to get him involved.
So we have a stat here, which is that 29 children have attended Flyers Community Provision this season through funding provided by Project Takeoff, which is amazing for those 29 kids. Like, those kids probably wouldn't have had a chance to do this unless we had it, but things like the Gala, go ahead.
Yeah, on my phone I've got a list, so I speak to all of the other Bristol Sport Foundation coaches, and we're like, right, well, we've got this one kid, I won't say any names, but like we've got this kid, we think he'd really benefit, he loves basketball or she loves basketball, but we know there's something like home life's a bit tricky, or like you can't book onto the hub. And I don't actually know. Well, first of all, they sell out. And once they've sold out, I can't add any more onto it because it kind of like makes the session a bit harder to coach.
Yeah.
But really, we want to provide more and more opportunities for kids like that who are missing out, like really talented, really passionate kids that just are having a bit of a struggle, that need a little bit of extra help. And I mean, I want to do a lot more in terms of what we're currently able to do, but it's the thing I enjoy the most, though.
Yeah. Well, hopefully by the time they have the Gala dinner next year, we'll have the funds from the Gala dinner this year. That number can shoot up. We can be sat here right here next year, and we can be saying, look, last year that was the number. This year, look at how many kids now are getting free basketball through Project Takeoff.
Project Takeoff hub on the go.
It can take off, literally. Yeah. Project Takeoff.
Yeah.
Of course, that VT is going to run tomorrow night. It's going to premiere at the Gala dinner with Romain and his mum Rose, who obviously helps out now through. She helps do some coaching, voluntary, through Project Takeoff as well. So she's got into it too. So that will premiere on the Gala dinner. We hope to run that on socials maybe next week. So keep an eye on the Bristol Flyers social channels for that video. It's a great video. That kind of leads in quite nicely to the curriculum sort of based stuff, and I kind of want to rattle through some of these programs because there's so many programs here that the foundation does. But obviously, there's always that stat, isn't there? Basketball is the second most popular team sport played as kids outside of football. And I remember, I don't know about you, Sam, like being at school, like you do PE lessons, you have like a term of basketball, a term of football, a term of rugby, but the Bristol Sport Foundation is delivering curriculum, the basketball in the curriculum. So you look at things like the health squad, which combines. And am I right in saying this is
so we do curriculum, which is the PE. So you can have a Bristol Sport Foundation coach, and they might come and deliver netball or rugby or football. But I'm a basketball specialist, so I'll go in and instead of them doing whatever they normally do for PE, they'll get a term worth of basketball. And then health squads is like a kind of two-pronged program. So we have a classroom session and a practical session. So they learn about mental health, they learn about like sleep and screen time and just all things in the classroom, and then they're just getting to play basketball outside with me.
It's amazing. I would never have this opportunity when I was a kid at school. I don't know about you, Sam.
That's great.
We had to. I mean, the dedication you guys put in is just unbelievable, and the provision now, and the setup you've got, and hopefully with the arena being built, we'll have even more sort of opportunity for maybe our own sort of hoops up at the arena. You never know, so you can use it all the time, which would be amazing. But like it's significant. Come on, for me, mate, it was like I had to join a club when I was in year 4. And my mate got me into it, but it was actually a club that I joined, and I had to pay for it and all the rest of it. Like when I say pay, I know some of these kids do as well, but like it was like, we're hiring the court and we're paying for the coat, and it's crazy,
I mean, I teach year 1.
Yeah.
And it's the first time they've held a basketball, and that's a privilege. That's amazing, and we're just trying to teach them to pass and catch it and just run around, have fun, and all the way up to year 6. And then some of them, like, you might know from a hub or something. Yeah. And you're like, all right, okay, let's go. You got.
Yeah, that's awesome. And also, like, that's obviously during curriculum, but then there's so much stuff that happens outside of curriculum as well. So now you're talking holiday camps.
Then it works the other way. So then you got a kid who's really talented, and we're like, right, come to our hub sessions, come to our camps. Sorry, and what were you going to say?
And we'll talk about the Flyers Cup as well, because that's more of a, because that's like that's a tournament, isn't it? Run between schools, so the kids actually get experience of competing against each other. And I think, Fred, if you get it up on screen, we got some shots of the recent Flyers Cup, I think, which took place, was it last week or the week before?
Last Monday, yeah. Shout out to Oasis Connor.
What a cup. Look at that.
Yeah, there's some shots on screen. This is down at UE Centre for Sport. So here's a look. Which teams competed in this one,
This is Oasis right here. That's my guy Kenzie.
Yeah. And obviously they competed, and then top 2 or top 3 from this one, then face the top 3 from the one that happens on Monday to be the ultimate Flyers Cup winner.
Yeah, that's it. Right, there's the top 2 teams right there. That's Birdwell and Coach Rodney's there at both of those schools, so
there he is. So that's awesome. That's fantastic. So it's teaching kids to be competitive amongst schools as well, and that's fantastic to see, isn't it? It's really good.
Oh, I'm just buzzing, and I'll be buzzing on Monday as well. Just going around loving life.
Yeah, and Corey, that kind of ties in quite nicely with more of the schools work that you're doing, and this is more of a league-wide initiative this season across the BBL. Each team is doing signed up for the BBL Ambassadors Project, which you do with the Bristol Sport Foundation. You go into schools and you deliver assemblies, don't you, to kids? You talk, what sort of things are you talking about in those assemblies?
So it's like we kind of talk a bit about like my basketball journey, but then it's like our focus is less about getting kids into basketball and more about like kind of like kind of like getting other ideas for what to like do like in life or other things to like take seriously. Like we talk about school and education and stuff, and obviously I mentioned how like I'm at uni, which is like basically like I always say it's like school for like adults type thing, and like we just talk about other things like you can do like outside of basketball that is like also like important.
Yeah, I think it gives kids like someone to look up to, and like if you again like when you're at school, would you ever have a professional athlete go into your school and actually like Q&A with a professional athlete and tell you their story and sort of like, here's something you can actually aspire to be, here's what our program looks like, this is the pathway you can go on, look at me, I'm a player that I've done that myself, and look at me now, I'm playing professionally in the BBL. It's all on our doorstep as well.
We had nothing like that, did we? This is unbelievable you guys do. And actually, like, you'll do this a lot, and I'm sure you enjoy it, and I'm sure you're doing a good thing, but I bet you don't even understand how much of a big thing you're doing. Like, these kids are getting such a good, influential person to go look up to and go, I can do this. And like we said, like, some might go down the path of professional sport, some might go down the path of other areas of sport, but actually these are just life skills that are really important for them anyway.
Yeah. Well, Corey, we wanted to kind of show you some of the love that you are receiving on the from these school visits. We've got a selection of tweets here from some of the schools that you have visited during the BBL Ambassadors Project. Here's the first one. This one is from your visit to Wolves Court. There you are delivering your assembly. There's question time on the big screen. If you flick through to the next one, Fred, we can see plenty of other tweets up here on screen. Here's a look at the next one. What school is this? Chew Stoke School. Corey, again, another visit. You're getting so much love on social from some of these visits.
For those listening, it says Bristol Flyers star, here he is. Your handle, joined children at Chewstoke Church School for his latest Ambassadors Project visit to one of our favourite sports schools. Forever sports schools, sorry, which is awesome.
Show us the next one, Fred. Let's have a look. Let's bash through these tweets. Here's another one, this time from St. Werburgh's. This is another school that Corey visited, delivering another assembly. It's like the Corey Samuels World Tour. We should get like T-shirts made, and then you have like your tour dates of which school assembly you're going into next. So look at the next one, Fred. Let's see what we've got next. There is
I used to work there.
Ventures Academy.
Yeah, I worked there for a year, like during lockdown with my brother.
Wow.
And that, like most of those kids, or pretty much all those kids in that picture was like in my class as well. So
that's amazing.
That's amazing. That's so good. And then let's have a look at the final one. And I think I've got some numbers here. 22 schools that you've visited so far. You were actually at a school this morning, weren't you?
Yeah, I was at my own primary school, like where I went to like Begbrook, and that was sick. Like I'll say like the Ventures one, and that one's like obviously the most like meaningful, just because obviously I was like there like growing up, and I had like a picture when I was in like year one, and like, I showed it, all the kids was going, oh my gosh, and then obviously the staff that was still there from back in the day, and like
same teachers.
There's a couple like
that's so
receptionists
cool.
and stuff. It was like, oh man.
Yeah.
It was just crazy.
That's so great.
Yeah.
So obviously those are some of the schools you're visiting, and like how rewarding is that for you as a player now? Like, you've been to these schools, you've gone through that whole experience. Now you're coming back as like a special guest, as part of Ambassadors Project, to be like an inspirational figure. As a kid that's come from Bristol and gone through the whole player pathway, that must be really special for you.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's weird, like thinking, because obviously when you think of like being like an inspirational person, you think of someone who's like, who in your mind is like, wow, this person's amazing type thing. So I guess like for me, like I guess LeBron's like pretty inspirational. Like we can all agree. But
LeBron James. Sam's just looking for his soundboard thing there. You completely missed the cue, didn't you?
But so yeah,
the volume's not up, Joel. That's the problem, mate.
Oh, there you go. Is that now?
LeBron
There it is. LeBron James.
Set that up for you, and you anyway.
Yeah, and you fumbled it, but you got there in the end.
But yeah, I was kind of like nervous, like going into it, thinking like, oh, I'm not really the guy for it. But I think everyone kind of has something, especially like on our team, like everyone's got something of value they can like kind of pass down. So I guess it's just about trying to be as valuable, and like even if you leave like a small thing with like a handful of kids at each school, like that's still like a win for me. So
that's amazing.
That's what I like about it, really.
Awesome. Couple more projects I wanted to quickly bash through before we get to the news segment here that the Bristol Sport Foundation does. The first one, Player Development Pathway. Now, the Bristol Sport Foundation recently did their showcase PDP game down at SGS, didn't they, before the Newcastle game the other week? Tell us more about the Player Development Pathway, Rodney.
So this is probably my favourite time of the whole week. So we've just started a Player Development Pathway for under 14s and under 16s. And what we're trying to do is the kids that maybe didn't get into the under 14s team,
the National League, the Flyers team.
The National League Flyers team, the trial, we can kind of give them another hour of like, you know, me coaching more like how I would have coached the under 14s National League teams in the past. And they're the most talented kids. So they like, some of them really get it, some of them are really athletic. So we just have a lot of fun with it. Yeah.
And they got to play on the court, didn't they? All the SGS all set up for a game day.
We got to play on the court. Like, it wasn't quite the result that I wanted, but we are a development team, so it wasn't really about the win. It was about just trying to like give them the experience. Yeah. But yeah, shout out to all my PDP guys. Like, I think some of them will watch this.
That's awesome. Yeah, massive shout out to everyone that's watching this that gets coached from, or gets any kind of coaching from, whether they've had Corey come into their school or whether they've had Rodney coach them.
I got to shout out Corey as well. Whenever I go to a school after Corey's been there, they're like, "I know Corey Samuels is like wicked." Like,
I tell you what, I get the same on TikTok as well. Like on the Flyers TikTok, we started ramping up some of the posts every now and then. So I'm trying to post like once a day now, and I'm looking at the comments. It's like, Corey, you visited my school today. That's amazing.
Nah, it's crazy because when I go to schools, they're like, "Oh, what? Do you know Rodney?" I'm like, "Yeah, what Rodney do?" Like, "Yeah, he's the best coach." I'm like, "Yeah, Rodney's famous. He's a celebrity out here."
Corey, I'm like, you gotta be like Corey. You're my next like.
That's crazy because you guys must have known each other for a long time now. Because obviously you've coached, you've like been with us, Rodney, when Corey was really young and growing up. So that was, now to see him playing and training on the BBL team is pretty special.
Yeah, I just love it, man. Just like, I'm so proud of this guy. Yeah, I mean, I can take very little credit. I'm sure Chris Bourne has like a lot more influence over that. But
that's awesome.
But yeah, no, I'm super. Like, it's just great to see him in the squads. Even better when he gets on the court. Yeah. Even better if he drops a 3 or gets a dunk. Then I'm going nuts in the stands.
Yeah. No, it's really great to see. It's really great to see. The final thing I've got on my list here of all the programs. There are so many programs at the Bristol Foundation that are running. There's so many to bash through. Yeah. But the final one, this one is it's not just the kids, is it? It's also the nascent sort of side of things. So we're talking business to business. So the Bristol Sport Foundation is running an upcoming corporate basketball tournament. Is that the SGS Wise? Is that at the SGS Wise campus or is it at UWE?
Yeah, probably a bit Wise campus. Yeah. That's where we've run them all before.
So this is essentially, if you're a business and you've got staff that are ballers that fancy themselves on the court and want to have a bit of a staff social, they get them all together, have a massive corporate basketball tournament. You can represent. You know, we had teams like we had Team Subway before. We've had Hargreaves Lansdowne before.
Habu.
Habu. If you're keen, Ex-Ledger. If you're keen to get involved, do reach out. I mean, we're still looking for participants for the upcoming one. So Tuesday, 21st of February is the next corporate basketball tournament. Each team is coached by a first team player. Is that right, Rodney?
Yeah, it's a wicked time. I mean, I'm usually reffing it, so I'm getting all the abuse from the players.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And you can enter mixed teams, can't you? It's not. It's you have mixed men and women.
I think they have to have. At least like one lady on the court at a time.
Yeah, or one man on the court at a time.
One man on the court at a time. Yeah, it's got to be mixed.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And 21st of February is the day of the game of the tournament. We're inviting everyone to enter. Mixed team of 10. All proceeds for entry fee are donated to the Bristol Sport Foundation to help deliver these programmes, which we've spoken about. So
get involved.
Do get involved. It's a great afternoon. I think it's 5 p.m. I think it is. It's a tournament, followed by food, a bit of networking at the end, so a bit of an opportunity to have a bit of fun as well. And obviously each team coached by a first team BBL player. Places are allocated on a first come first served basis.
You want to be coaching the Subway because they always bring snacks and
they
cookies.
do. Oh my God, they do. I remember
Get on Subway.
Hey, that's the cheat code, man. Don't tell the other players that.
Team Subway always bring the cookies, isn't it? I remember that.
I don't think they've won yet though.
So if you are interested, you can register your team by contacting Ben Breeze, benjamin.breeze@bristol-sport.co.uk to confirm your entry now. Hargreaves Lansdowne, Ernest Young, and a team from Ashton Gate confirmed so far this year's tournament. You got the call up for the Ashton Gate team, Sam?
It wouldn't be fair actually if I got the call up.
I'm waiting for my call up. I haven't laced them up in a while. I'll be down.
When the foundation got their team, watch out.
Oh, now we've got some fighting talk here. Team Ashton Gate versus Team Bristol Sport Foundation.
We would. I hate to break it to you, we would kill you. Okay, Rodney?
I'm reffing, so if I was playing, watch out, Sam.
Oh, I love it. Just finally, obviously we've spoken about where we are right now with the Bristol Sport Foundation. Obviously the gala dinner is tomorrow night to help raise funds for all these fantastic projects. Obviously you're looking ahead now to the future. I mean, SCC down at Ashton Gate coming in the next sort of few years down the line. I remember on the press release when we first announced the SCC, a minimum of 40,000 extra hours of community sport for the foundation going to be delivered using that facility as well. Rodney, kind of just really briefly to wrap things up on this segment, sort of where would you like to see the Flyers community delivery projects through the foundation? How do you see that growing over the next few years?
I mean, I've wanted to say one thing this whole podcast, and it's just how exciting Bristol Flyers basketball is right now, and it starts on the court with the BBL team. This is the best BBL team I've seen ever, and every single one of them's coming up, does well. One of them does well one night, and that's inspiring all the kids as well. And I can go and say to them, look at how Corey plays defense. Look at how Jelani gets to his spot, and all of these things. That's how I want my PDP kids to play. And then there's more demand to get in the PDP. There's more demand to get in the Flyers teams. And we're just like I said before, we're selling out. So we just want to have more coaches, more venues. When we get this new stadium, it's just going to blow up.
Yeah.
And some of you know Doug, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, Doug is another one of our community coaches. We think we can build the best community program in the country. We got the potential. In Bristol's there's a lot of talent. It's just so exciting.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
You heard it here first. The best community program in the country.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. The setup, like we said, we speak about it a few times on the podcast. The setup's already there with the National League programs. There's not many clubs in the BBL that actually has a team. You look at, a club in the league. How many teams do you for Flyers, for example? Bristol Flyers play National League under 18s, under 16s, under 14s. Do you know what I mean? Boys and girls. You see women's team, men's first team, men's second team. Not many clubs have that. We're in such a great position, and it's only going to grow here from strength to strength. Fellas, thanks that's a great segment, I thought. Really good segment, chatting about all things Bristol Sport Foundation, shining a light on the great work being done in the community. Sam, it is time for us to look back on this week's news.
This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
That was a really good chat, wasn't it? I really enjoyed that. That was awesome.
Do you know what? As much as we're involved and you hear about stuff going on, there's so much going on that you can't keep on top of it all.
I say it all the time. As a media team, it's myself and Jack at the moment, and we have so many stuff to cover across the first. There's so many different things we want to cover. There's so much going on that we'd love to be able to cover it all. So the podcast is a great platform for things like this. We can do special episodes, sort of themed around different parts of the club. So really interesting. So many people probably don't realise exactly how much work is being done in the community. So I thought that was really good.
Yeah, really, really good.
Right, time to get through this week's news, and we got to start by talking about last week's game against the Caledonia Gladiators. What a win it was!
Friday night game. No one apart from London has won in Caledonia this season before that game. Okay, so
Yeah.
we're going up there. We're up against it. And what happened, Joel?
Only went and beat them.
Only went and flip and beat him. Isn't that right, Corey?
That's right.
What was the mood like after that result, Corey? Because I imagine, you know, Caledonia. I keep saying Glasgow, but Caledonia, obviously, it's a tough face to play, isn't it? It's a lot of travel. Like, not many teams have won there.
Yeah, I think I don't think we weren't. It's not like we were surprised by anything. Like, we weren't like over the moon like we won like a championship. But a win is a win. Obviously, everyone was like happy to get the dub, especially like in the context of like, you know, we keep going back to like the pre-season like predictions, and like obviously you gotta love Kieran Achar in it, but everyone knows where he predicted us to be, like, and it definitely wasn't at the top. So so like to win like in like his city, obviously that was a little something, but really we just happy to just keep the momentum going, really just keep getting wins.
I was watching it online, and when Sloan came down here before, he hit something like 34 points or 36 points on us, and he picked up that long range 2 from the corner, the first play of the game. And I was like, okay, here we go. And then you guys kept him to something like 6 points in the first half, which is just unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, and then like in the second half, I think like overall it took him like 20 shots to like hit 19 points or something. So like he was getting his shots up. Like good players, good scorers are gonna score the ball. But yeah, we definitely like did like a good job. Well, good enough to get the win at least. So yeah.
Yeah, Rodney, did you get a chance to watch a game from home? What did you think?
Yeah, so it was it Friday night?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had a like really busy week, but I'm always like on YouTube on my phone.
There we go. We love to hear it. Are you watching the highlights on Flyers TV, Rodney?
Well, yeah, sometimes. I mean, I'm like watching the podcast, all the rest of it. No, but I'm like on my phone, and Cleo's like my wife. Oh, that's not basketball, is it? I'm like,
Yes, it's basketball on a Friday night. We've all been there, haven't we?
I'm such a loser, Joe. I'll watch the whole game live, and then the next day I'll also watch the extended highlights. I want to see every single. I love it.
Hey, we'll take the views. Don't forget you can watch highlights and extended highlights right here on the Bristol Flyers YouTube of every single Bristol Flyers game. So there's no reason not to stay caught up to date with the team's results.
The final score on that one was 76-88, which was, Flyers led by 18 points, 6 assists for Jelani Watson-Gale. He had 0 turnovers, Joel.
Yeah, man was balling out. Corey.
Watson-Gale.
Jelani
making
Watson.
it here once again.
Yeah, I remember you said, we need to get
Good
those in
stuff,
there.
lad. Hope you're watching this, mate.
Love it.
Good game.
Corey, what's it been like playing with like Jelani in practice and playing on the same team together this year? Because he's really, like, especially the last couple of games, has really stepped up a notch this season. Yeah,
well, he's pretty reliable like throughout, innit? And like even when he's not going off for like 18, 20 points, like he's still like a reliable guy to have on the team. Fun to play with, innit? Especially like start of this year. You don't know everybody, but it's like, oh, there's another like British guy, little British backcourt here. When we go like Team White versus Team Blue and that, like we take a little bit of pride in that.
Yeah,
so,
bit of chat in practice, is it?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, it's good to team up with him.
What kind of things are you chatting to him about in practice when you go in Team White v Team Blue? Are you sort of?
Well, he's on my team, so it's like.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so we're like obviously just supporting each other, really. It's like,
okay. No, you're not going up against each other like that then.
Nah, we're on the same team in practice.
Great stuff. Obviously, that win on Friday means the win streak in league play is up to 5 now, which ties the longest win streak in Flyers history since joining the BBL.
Really?
So if you can find a way to pick up a win on Friday against Plymouth, Corey, you'll break the Flyers win streak record since joining the BBL in 2014.
Okay, I think we should be able to do that. I'm not gonna.
Something to chat about in the dressing room, maybe.
Yeah,
on Friday.
exactly. Yeah.
Obviously, it's a tough place to play in Caledonia. You guys actually travelled up on the day before, didn't you? So that's the reason why I didn't travel, was because I couldn't afford to spend 2 days out of the office this past week. So I've been playing catch up on a lot of things, including the podcast.
You had a lot of TikToks to make, didn't you, Joe?
A lot of TikToks to make as well. Yeah, getting back on our TikTok game as well. Corey, what kind of difference does that make when you guys actually go the night before for a game like that? And because you went at the night before, but then you travelled back after the game, didn't you?
Yeah. So it was like we only stayed up one time like last year, but that was like after the game, innit? And like every time we played last year, we lost there. So maybe it did make a difference, going the day before. Everyone's a little bit more fresher. Like you don't just come off from a long journey, but It was cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's why we won, but it probably did help a little bit.
I think it also makes a difference if you're like on the bus, like a 7-hour journey, you get off the bus, you've got like bus legs, do you know what I mean? And you've got to go out and warm up straight away. Whereas if you go out the night before, it's almost like, you get a full night's sleep. I know you're away from like your home and that, but you get a full day. I know you guys got to shoot around, didn't you, down at the venue on the day of the game, which I imagine helped, like seeing the ball go through the rim, get used to the rims, things like that. And then obviously a massive win as well. So surely it must be good things. Other news around the league this week: Jelani Watson-Gale and Thomas Bell both named in BBL Team of the Week. TB 13 points, a career high 13 rebounds. So setting records once again. TB. Some amazing finishes in that game, by the way. He had like a double pump in the post. He faked it twice on who was that big guy? He faked a double part on Patrick Tape, and it was a beautiful. I was watching him like, oh my god, that's outrageous.
I don't know. I think some of the things he does, he makes up on the spot as well. As much as people be like, we practice these things, I'm sure you do, but then he just in practice he does the same. You're like, what has he just done?
Sometimes like we look at each other on the bench, like he'll just do some. I think like that time you're talking about, he like pivot like 3 times.
That's it, yeah.
Forward pivot, reverse pivot, then he'll go scoop it, and then we just look at each other like, what? like that's just TV, innit? Like
2 points is 2 points.
Innit? Just let him do his thing, really.
I'll take it.
There's certain shot clocks coming down, all the rest of it, and you're like, oh, this is like, sometimes you have to make a bit of a dodgy shot, right?
Yeah.
TB sometimes in that, and I'm still like, it's probably going to go in anyway.
He does that with 16 seconds left.
He's one of those guys, though, I think, also TB, where he has like the strength advantage and the speed advantage over most players that match up against him in the league. So like, if you put him at the 3 or something, he'll like back you down because he's usually a bit taller, and if you put him at the 4, he's a lot quicker. So one way or another, you got to sort of pick your poison really with TV, especially when like the wings are shooting and you got players like Jelani going off for like 18 points and Corey knocking down like back-to-back threes off the bench. Do you know what I mean? Like things like that, like that can cause like mismatch problems all over the place.
He's also an albatross. Them arms are the longest things I've ever seen.
What was it he said on the podcast the other week? 7-foot wingspan, was it, or something like that?
Yeah.
Outrageous.
Really?
Yeah, he showed us his wingspan on the podcast.
He's longer than he is tall.
Yeah, he literally. I mean, I'm not going to do it too much because I'm out of sweat patches, but he like did the full wingspan jobby, and outrageous wingspan is TB. Great. So many congrats to JWG and TB for being named in TOTW Team of the Week.
Other news, Joel. Riders have a new signing. Who got injured?
Devontae Bandu got injured. You look at my notes there and you asked me that question, didn't you? Because I missed a typo on my notes.
I was like, who is that?
Devontae Bandu got that injury just before the cup final. Do you remember? It was his debut. It was an injury. I think he went up for a layup and took off awkwardly on his knee. Then they brought in Carrington Love, who made his debut in the BBL Cup final on Sunday. Lads, did you watch the cup final? Did you get a chance to catch up on it?
Yeah, I watched it live, yeah.
What do you think of the game overall? It got quite a close game in the end, wasn't it? It's like a 4-point game in the fourth quarter. I know London took that lead early on, but Leicester, credit to them, they rallied back in that second half. Yeah,
it wasn't a blowout, which kind of shows what kind of league it is. It's like anyone can beat anyone type thing. Well, like almost anyone can beat almost anyone.
Almost anyone can beat almost anyone.
I'll be a bit realistic, but yeah, it was a good game. Like Leicester played well, like considering they was missing like an import guard pretty much, and then that guy was just like chucked in like last minute. Like
They if you look at the stats, the one thing London did very well though, we know how dangerous Loving is, we know how dangerous Wheeling can be, and they just really made it difficult for them to shoot the 3, didn't they? They did not have a lot of. What was their percentage in the end? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know they managed to shut Loving down though. I think he had a pretty poor game by his own standards, and that was a key part of it because Sam Decker went off. He was the MVP. I think it was like 21 and 9. I think he finished with to get cup final MVP. But it was a great spectacle as well, like the whole BBL Cup final thing. And Corey, I know you weren't part of the roster that made the. You weren't part of the roster at the 2020 Cup final, but you remember the Cup final. Rodney, were you down there for that Cup final 2020 Bristol Flyers?
I haven't been, but I remember it.
It was such a massive occasion. You get like 10,000 fans there in Birmingham. I think we travelled really well.
Coach up, didn't you?
We did, yeah. It was a couple of coaches. I think it was. Our sponsors coach go up as well. All the red T-shirts, the sea of red in the crowd. It was a fantastic day. So regardless of the result on the day, fans got a great day out. Chance chance to see the team in the final for the very first time. Fingers crossed we can see if we can get back to a final for the playoffs at the end of the season.
That would be good.
Watch this space. Obviously, the dunk contest as well was a big part of it, which turned out just a bit underwhelming, wasn't it? I think we were all saying, like, come on, lads, step up your game. And there were some good dunks, don't get me wrong, but some of the guys were just taking like 3 or 4 attempts to get these dunks going. Like, I don't know if it's like a lack of warm-up time. I don't know if it's... Corey, you're quite like a springy sort of player yourself. Like, is it... Yeah. They don't get much warm-up time for things like that. Does that play a big part in that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think so. And it's like... I think a lot of it is like the anticipation and like how much the crowd is into it. Because you see like a warm-up, that's like a player's like bounciest time of their life. It's like the warm-up. Because they're about to go into this game, they get all that adrenaline. They got the crowd like all making noise and that in the background because they're all watching, especially at their home place. But it seemed like at the dunk contest, the crowd seemed kind of dead, maybe because the lights was down. I don't know. It didn't seem like there was much like atmosphere for it.
Yeah, I don't know the lights that in the past. I remember watching our cup final 2020, and I remember like it seemed like the lights were a lot darker in the crowd this year. I don't know if you felt the same, Sam. But like, if you're watching on telly, there's like 10,000 fans there, but you couldn't actually see past the bench.
To tell, isn't it?
It's kind of like Plymouth, where they had the lights off in the crowd, where almost, if you kind of put, especially with some of the Riders fans, like wearing a sea of red t-shirts, like you kind of want to see that on camera.
I think the problem we've got is because even the NBA dunk contest in Feb, I don't. It's got worse over the years. And I think the problem we've got is that since social media and all the rest of it, we have these people who their whole job is now to be like trained dunkers. What's that name? That guy, Thingy Kilgannon, is that his name? He's this guy on social media.
Yeah.
He always
like
dyes his hair.
Yeah.
And he just does the stupidest things you've ever seen, but it's his whole job to like work on his bounce and then like do these stupid dunks. So we get to see that. We're like, oh, that's amazing. And then the pros who realistically... unbelievable basketball, but they don't put that much time into practicing these crazy dunks. Like, why would they? And so they're never going to be as good as the stuff we now see on social. So unfortunately, there's a lot of pressure for them to be amazing, and they're just like, it's just never as good as we're used to. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, it's true, but I don't want to give the guys an excuse because like I think like some of the dunks were like pretty lame, I'll be honest.
Corey's not holding back today.
It was looking sorry, like either like I don't know, there's just a way they could make it better, innit?
Yeah.
Like, there's guys in the league that could do like, there's guys on like our team that could do like better dunks.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
maybe like I would like to see maybe some different, or more participants, or maybe different participants. Maybe like Paddy Wang from Surrey, he's very springy this year.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
you could probably name 5 guys right now that would give us.
And also, I think it was. Who was it? It was the Plymouth guy, James Hawthorne, in his final dunk, and he had Marcus Delpesh throwing it off the backboard to him. It's like, oh, that's tough.
That's where he went wrong. No offense to Marcus, but
we love Marcus on the podcast. We do talk about him a lot, but he's not. If you were to name me one player who's got to pass you the ball off the side of the backboard, Marcus Delpesh could be quite far down the list.
That was unwise. That was very unwise.
And you also don't want to choose the guys who are necessarily dunking the most in games, because they're like the big. You want the guys who are like don't dunk too much in games, but they're the ones that can do the nice little windmills.
Yeah,
the
ones dunking the warm-ups,
innit?
Yeah,
in-game dunks is like, it looks cool in-game, but if you do like a drop set dunk in a dunk contest, you're not going to get much points.
Right, a couple more bits to wrap up before we do some final quick-fire questions. Where are we at? Quincy Taylor has left the Surrey Scorchers. Donovan Johnson has left the Newcastle Eagles. He's gone to go sign in Greece. Our loyalty scheme has been announced, which we spoke about very briefly on the podcast last week. But if you're a season ticket holder and a member, very, very soon you'll be able to start earning loyalty points for every time you buy merch or scan into games or buy tickets for games. You'll then be able to spend those points on some pretty cool prizes, which will be announced soon. I think a Malcolm Delpesh game-worn jersey might be one of the prizes in there. So kind of things like that, sort of one-of-one, things that you can't buy in the shop necessarily, or experiences like watching the guys train, or even coming on the podcast and watch the podcast be filmed. Another exclusive experience. Money can't buy experience.
Yeah, a Delpesh game-worn unwashed jersey.
That's what I'm thinking. We say game.
No, I meant like worn in the game and obviously washed since the game.
Where's the game?
Keep that.
Takes it off, hands it over.
You'll also be able to, earn points by spending money in some stores that partnered up with the scheme. So I think Boohoo Man's one of them. I think what other ones were there? There was a few on the loyalty.
I heard there was like 250.
Yeah, that's right. Right,
That's true.
Is there
Corey
even
knows
that many brands in the UK?
There is a
Like,
lot of brands that are signed up to the scheme. So eventually you can spend money with them and then earn points through the Flyers loyalty scheme you could spend on in the portal. We're going to get Charlie on next week, I think, to talk about it in more detail. Charlie, our head of marketing. So watch out for that. He will explain a lot more. A couple more bits. Plymouth City Patriots on Friday. We won't talk about that too much because we'll talk about it next week on the podcast. But just a quick reminder for tickets. They are sold out for Newcastle Eagles, our next home game. They're also sold out for Manchester Giants, the following home game. Like the hubs we spoke about, the tickets are just sold out. Like we got nothing left. we got.
Do I still have that
go
sound?
find the audio again.
I don't think I do have.
I've got nothing left. I've got nothing left.
We have nothing left. I think we were looking at the tickets for the rest of the season, unreserved tickets, the red bleach tickets in the office before we recorded the podcast today. I think we have like 5 or 6 tickets you can buy for the rest of our games this season. The only thing you can buy, standing room or courtside hospitality tickets. That's it. So if you are looking to go to a Bristol Flyers game, bristolflyers.co.uk to get your tickets now.
This is the Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Right, we bashed through that. We're at an hour point. We've already hit the hour park already. We'll just quickly bash through some questions to finish this one. I think it'll be a little longer episode. We just treated you. How lovely is that?
Treated to a little extra content like that, Joel.
Right, time to wrap things up with the mailbag. Corey, we asked fans this morning to send in their questions for you coming on the podcast. We had some fantastic questions. The first question, a lot of the players chipped in this week and sent in their questions, I found. Malcolm Delpesh has been in touch.
Sorry, carry on.
He sent a couple of questions. The first one, approximately how much water do you drink in a day?
I knew it was going to be something like that. If we're counting the water I put into a glass of Vimto, probably about 2 liters.
Is Vimto the drink of choice? Is it? Is that?
Yeah, I got
what's in the bottle?
I
right
got
now?
actual water in this right now,
Yeah.
actually.
Nah, that's Vimto for sure.
Corey's secret stuff.
All right,
Vimto.
I like that. Next question we got for you, Corey, is...
Malcolm's also been in touch. Don't pass over
that is
question from
Malcolm again.
Oh, another one. All right, go
Yeah,
ahead.
he goes, can you give us your best Joel impression?
My best.
What does he mean by that? What, like your impression of me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
Yeah, go on, let's hear it.
I gotta get in character right now.
This means they do this about you, Joel, like when you're not there,
Is that
mate.
what you do in practice?
Yeah, we do this quite frequently.
Is this like
actually.
what you mean, like impression of me commentating on games?
Yeah, but then it can even go like beyond that.
Okay. Go on.
Sam Hardy on the podcast with Joe, Corey, and Rodney.
I mean,
Bow ties tomorrow night. Can't wait to see it. That's exactly something that you would just come out with.
I love
Can he
it.
do his laugh?
I ain't got the laugh down yet. That'll come next year, but
I love it.
Yeah.
Cheers for that, mate. I'll tell you what impression always tickles me. When
What's
you're on the
that?
bus the other day, did that really thick Bristolian accent.
oh, that one. Oh yeah, that one ain't coming out for the podcast. That's just for the guys only.
I remember on the bus, I was sat at the back of the bus, and Corey comes out like, "All right, guys, we're about to get on the bus now. We've arrived at our destination."
Go on, please.
No.
Another question here. This one from Pasquale Landolfi. What do you prefer having, a Sette Bello or a Scopa? What does that even mean?
So it's this card game. He taught us this Italian card game.
Oh yeah, we
which
spoke about
literally
it.
me, Pasquale, Mike, and Brandon, like 7 out of the 8 hours on the way to Glasgow, we were just playing like back-to-back games, like constant. It's sick. I can't lie.
Were you scoring?
Yeah, I scored a few. Like I was doing alright, but I didn't win. But
Who won in total?
so it was Mike and Pasquale who won. They beat me and Brandon, but Pasquale's a talent, so you got a little advantage there. So yeah.
Right, next question, yeah?
Yeah. Go, you
Okay,
wanna
this
go?
is from B.East Photos.
Shout out Billy.
How has your Olympian father helped you to become a professional basketball player? There you go.
See, I didn't know that your dad actually was in the Olympics before this episode. We only spoke about it off air.
Yeah.
That your dad competed in the Olympics, didn't he?
Yeah. So it was like 1988 Olympics.
Wow.
But yeah, how has My
In
dad,
triple jump, wasn't it?
yeah, triple jump.
If I remember correctly, that was the South Korea Seoul. Is that right?
Yeah.
He said that to me before.
That is very well remembered, my friend.
I was thinking, no way you just figured it out.
I wasn't alive then, so all good. Yeah, go on. How has your Olympian father helped you become a professional basketball player?
I think kind of he's able to like support me like from knowing what like an athlete kind of needs, and like being understanding of like where I'd have to put time into basketball, where like my family's quite I say like tight knit, and we're like quite tight knit together, but also quite committed to church as well. So like I think if my dad didn't understand how important basketball was to me and like what it requires to like make it, a lot of games, a lot of like regional stuff, national stuff, I wouldn't have been able to do because of church. But because he kind of like understands the importance of both of them, it's kind of allowed me to like put a lot into like my basketball.
So good.
So yeah,
That's
that's one of the many ways.
That's awesome.
Shout out to you, Vern.
Vern? Shout out to you, Vern.
We've got one here which I think we'll come back to in another episode. We'll wrap up with this last one. Jelani Watson-Gale has asked...
Why is Sam smiling?
No reason. I'm just a very happy man.
I mean, he just wants to know, how many times a day do you say the word like?
Oh my gosh, this guy. I don't know what his problem is. He's always trying to... I'll say something in like a team talk. Bro, do you know how many times you just said like? Bro, whatever, bro, whatever. I don't know.
Great stuff. Fellas, I think we can wrap up this week's episode of the podcast right there. What a great chat that was, Sam, about all the work that the Bristol Sport Foundation's been doing in the community, all the Flyers projects out there. I hope everyone listening has like learned a lot more about the program as a whole. Rodney, what was that like? Your first appearance on the Flyers podcast. It's great to have you on, mate.
I'm not going to lie, I was really nervous because I'm a big fan of the podcast.
Oh, cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
But yeah, I just really appreciate you guys getting me on. Yeah, feel free to come and like chat to me about anything else, like put it out there for everyone.
Yeah, because you're always down at games, aren't you? Running, helping run stuff on game days.
Try to be down there as much as possible.
Yeah.
But no, just so happy right now.
And if anyone listening has got little ones that are keen to get involved with taking up basketball, or maybe you've come to watch a Flyers game and you're wondering how can my kids get, or maybe you are a little one and you want to play basketball for the first time.
Yes.
How can they get involved, Rodney? Where should they go to?
I mean, start following us on socials, Bristol Sport Foundation. And then we got Bristol Sport Foundation website where you can book on, but like you said earlier, just like a lot of demand for it.
Yeah.
But we put on posts saying that we're about to release tickets and stuff like that. So
yeah. And I've got to give a shout out to the Bristol Sport Foundation app as well. We ran some competitions very recently on there, so a chance to win some free merch as well. Check them out, Bristol Sport Foundation. Over at there. Corey has got his hand up like he's at school. I'm going to add one more thing before we wrap this podcast up.
Don't want to butt in, but if you're giving shout out to Rosie, my partner in crime for the Ambassador Project.
Oh, yeah, of course. How can we forget Rosie?
Yeah, I had to give her a little shout out because without her, it would not be the same project, really. So, yeah.
Absolute legend.
Rosie's amazing.
And if any of you have any spare cash lying around once you've paid for your heating, everything we give to the foundations will be really, really well appreciated, helping these kids and paying people like Rodney to come and do the thing they do. Hopefully we'll see the whole of Bristol basketball like increased in ability around this. Not just that, but that'd be nice. More homegrown talent coming up through the BBL. Anything to add, Joel, at the end?
Well, this is you asking me a thing to add at the end. Normally it's me asking you, but I guess the one final thing to add is we got to go get ourselves ready for the Bristol Sport Gala dinner, haven't we?
Yes, we do.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Bristol Flyers podcast. Don't forget, we are available on all major podcast providers and YouTube every single Wednesday. But until then, he is Sam Hardy. I'm Joel Osborne. We will see you same just butchered that ending. We'll see you same time, same place here next week on the Bristol Flyers podcast.